So I wanted to talk about Quest 64. This is a game that has gotten so much hate over the years that whenever I actually bring it up to people who might not even remember it correctly, or you know, they just haven't heard about it in a while, they just automatically think something negative like oh, I've heard that game is terrible, or you know, and that happens to a lot of games. A lot of games just don't age well. But I don't know, I remember having a lot of fun with this game as a kid, like as like a 13-year-old kid when it first came out. I never got to beat it, I always rented it, I was that kind of dude. And I always told myself when I got older, one day I would play it and I would beat it. And you know what? A few weeks ago that actually happened. And after I played it, let me say this, after I played it, that's when I went ahead and I looked through some reviews of it, see what the community thought, and I was so surprised to see that this is one of the most hated games, apparently. People consider this game so terrible. But I will tell you right now, I had so much fun with this game. Maybe it was my super low expectations, but there were so many things about this game, and we'll talk about a couple of things, including a lot of the bigger reasons why people hate this game, or hate on this game. We'll talk about all that in this episode, so thank you for being here, and let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is the fact... Let's start with the storyline. This game, okay, I'll admit, this game has one of the worst... I mean, you could pretty much say it doesn't have a story. There's almost no story. There's basically, you start the game, I think they tell you that like your dad's missing, he went on a quest, and you're actually like going on yourself on a quest in order to find your dad, pretty much. So that is one of the biggest hated on aspects of the fact that that's the only real story you get. You get that story in the beginning of the game, and then you'll like go through the game and there's no more necessary dialogue until the very end of the game, where, you know, a couple of twists happen like right at the end. It's sorta, it felt super rushed. It felt dirty, pretty much. It wasn't a great twist at the end or anything like that, without getting into spoilers. But I don't know. Here's my counter argument to that. So I actually really enjoyed the fact that this game wasn't bogged down with any necessary dialogue or storytelling, or even like some, I mean, you're on a quest the whole time, but there's no like fetch quests in order to like, there's nothing that's gonna like stop you for like a really long time in one area. You're constantly moving around, you're constantly leveling up and encountering new enemies. And the fact that there was no story really made it feel like you really were this boy, you really were this little dude journeying across the entire, you know, realm in order to find your father. And I don't know, something about that, the solitude in the fact that I don't know, there's something about the solitude in that felt so good. It felt so right. Like, yes, you were alone. It's kind of like the same feeling you get when you're like powering up Samus in Metroid, in any Metroid game, or Mega Man in you know, the X series, how he gets his power-ups through the parts. It feels good. It feels like, oh man, yes, I'm getting stronger. And the fact that you're not relying on anything or anybody to get you there. I don't know, I like that. And it speaks a lot about what the story the developers were trying to tell. Like, yes, this was a young boy on his own, going all sorts of dangerous places on his own, and defeating these super strong bosses and everything. And you know, I actually enjoyed the running around and no story, and just, I mean, I guess when you break it down, this game is mostly what you're seeing right now. Running around dungeons, or, you know, new areas, and like fighting sometimes, and looking for stuff. You gotta find those little spirits, or else you'll never level up enough, and things will beat your ass, basically. And I mean, there are other games that did the whole 3D open world exploration thing better. I mean, like Zelda puts this to shame as far as like a Zelda game goes, but still, like the world was so vast. There's actually areas in this game I didn't see. When I beat it, I looked at a map and everything, and I was like, whoa, look at all these areas. There's so many little spots I didn't even check out, which is really cool. There's like optional areas, so I really think that that's one of the things that people ignore. And I think this game was meant to be run like multiple times. It was meant to be speed run because of the way you level up. Like basically you can only level, you see how I have the 4 gems down there, fire, earth, water, wind. You can only get 2 of those to 50 and then 1 to like 25-ish. Basically you can't level them all up maxed out. So in the different elements, mastering different elements will make the game either easier or harder. I did wind and water. I think it's the easiest, most sensible thing to level up. It is kind of a bummer that you can't heal yourself without water, so you pretty much have to level up water. I do think that was kind of crappy, but besides that, I found experimenting with the magic system so much fun. So much fun, and there's so many different ways you can pretty much break the game and like make it super easy for yourself if you wanted to, in order to kill some of these harder bosses and everything. So you actually end up there's like a hidden skill tree in this game, and you will like unlock new spells and buffs and debuffs and stuff. It's actually really cool to experience and do for the first time. And I do also want to say, running around, like, the open world was amazing. No 2 areas in this game look even remotely alike. I know people will complain, oh, it's so unfinished, there's so much open space everywhere, but honestly, I did not notice that. There's no point where I was, like, looking around and I was like, wow, this looks really empty. I mean, it's an N64 game. There's a lot of emptiness going on in N64 games in general, so you gotta take that with a grain of salt as it is, so to speak. So the combat is where this game really shines. It's actually quite brilliant. As you can see, it's like turn-based, but then you have a certain area you can move around in, and then you can attack with your staff, which does some reasonable damage. It increases based off your level, your actual character level. But it can get really strong. And then you got some magic where you can range with, which is amazing. And I will say the battles get really hard. They get hard near the end, where you have to start strategizing. Like as you can see in this one, I'm like trying to freeze these guys down so they don't jump me, pretty much. And pretty much every battle could be death. Any battle could be death if you don't strategize or play your cards right. So the battle is so much fun. You have so many different spells to try out and kill your enemies with, and it's a lot of fun. I think it was the most fun. I had a love and hate relationship with the battles, because there was a lot of random battles. That's definitely no joke, especially when you're on the open world. You will encounter battles even by turning the camera, which is freaking insane. So you can't even look around freely. You have to... Oh, it's crazy, you guys. It's crazy. But that's really my only complaint with the battle system. That there did seem to be too many random battles. But in a game where the battles really shine, like, it wasn't that bad, honestly. I actually enjoyed the battles for the most part. The environments I really loved. Like I said earlier, every zone looks completely different, and you will not mistake one zone for the other, which is something that even new games coming out in 2018 and beyond can't even, like, get down completely. So I really, really love that. And I mean, music-wise, let's talk about that really quick. Music and sounds. So this was supposed to be the N64's RPG, So I feel like they were thinking about that. I think they had that in mind when they were going over the soundtrack for this game, because it really sounds like old school SNES RPG soundtrack, and it's good and it's bad. I can see why people don't like it, because it does sound like it's from different generation and older generation quality wise, but I actually enjoyed most of the music. I found it to fit the zones like really well and fit the tone of the game really well. I will say the battle music like never changes, so unless you're in a boss battle, you hear the exact same battle music, so you might end up turning the sound off or something if you don't like it, but other than that, I didn't think it was too bad. That's pretty much all I wanted to talk about as far as Quest 64 goes, without just gushing about how much I really like this game. I really think it's an amazing game, though, with a really good amount of replay value that people just, I don't know, maybe people just don't have the patience for this type of game anymore, but I really enjoyed it, honestly, on my playthrough, and I encourage you guys, if you haven't played through this game, if it looks interesting, if you remember it as a kid, if you played it as a kid and you were always like, man, I've always wanted to finish this game. This was always on my bucket list as far as like games I wanted to finish. So I felt so good finishing this game and playing through it. I had an amazing time, and I feel like all the hate on this game is almost like not legit. You know what I mean? It's a decent game. There's a lot of good things about it that people tend to ignore when they're doing their reviews. You know how reviews are these days. It seems like you get more views and more clicks for saying some negative stuff than you do for saying some positive stuff. But I just wanted to make this video really quick to be real with you guys while I work on my internet, not having internet problems. So thank you guys for coming by, checking this little video out. If you've played Quest 64, I want to know what your favorite parts about it were. Oh my god, I loved for me, my favorite parts were just exploring, getting to see the new areas every time you move to a new area. It was amazing. It was incredible. I was always really shocked by the vistas, pretty much, the views. And this is an N64 game. This game is ancient, so let me know what you guys enjoyed about it. Hope this review was entertaining or helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to hit that subscribe, because we'll have plenty more retro reviews coming at you very soon. Thank you for coming by, sticking around. I hope to see you soon, and I'll catch you late.
Man, they got my bros bragging about prison. Only got this one life, they ain't taking me prison.